On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. A lot of people messing around and finding out. We've got an awesome show, a lot of stuff to cover, and probably a long show. Hopefully, I'm going to do my best to keep some of the commentary to a minimum. We'll see how that plays out. Famous last words from Dan. Perfect way to start the show, though. George Carlin talking about, well, a lot of people on both sides of the fence, frankly.
When your identity is your ideology, congratulations, you've officially screwed yourself, because now it's not just an idea, now it's you. And when the idea gets challenged, you don't hear disagreement, you hear an attack. So what do? You build a bubble. A nice, soft, padded little bubble where everyone agrees with you, uses the same words, hates the same people, and claps at the exact right moments. And you will defend that bubble at all costs, even if it makes you sound incredibly stupid. Facts don't matter anymore. Logic's gone. Humor? Dead. Because admitting you're wrong would mean admitting you are wrong, and that's unacceptable. So you double down, louder, angrier, dumber. And that's how you end up defending nonsense like it's sacred scripture, not because it's true, but because without it, you'd have to actually develop a personality.
Of many things. But yes, I'm very fond of anything. Oh, of course. Oh, thank you. I'm very fond of the idea of people holding strong beliefs. Oftentimes will hold on to them no matter what. No matter what. And this is what I've found. This is one of the things that's funny about quote-unquote awakening, because really it's just levels of programming. And there's levels and levels and levels and layers of an onion. And many people like pull one off and they're like, oh, I'm awake. And it's like, you still got like 8 more layers on you. Come on, work it. Got some weird stuff going on with Ukraine. F-16 shot down in Ukraine by S-300 air defense systems, by the way. S-300 is not their best. Whatever the case is, I'm sure they're great missiles and all that nonsense. But yeah, shot down one of their F-16s. That's a big fat oops. And that's not going to bode well if that's actually true. Zelensky's apparently making another move to avoid any sort of election. Surprise? Anyone? No? Shouldn't be. He has submitted 2 new draft bills that are going to extend the martial law for another 90 days, which would extend the unneed of an election for 90 more days. Now, there is this Swedlow guy or whatever that's claiming that, I think the 15th? I don't know, 15th, 16th? I don't know, right around here. We'll see if he's right. I don't think he is, and I kind of hope he's not, frankly. But if he is, I want the war to end. I just can't even imagine what's going to happen if this dude gets this date, right? We'll see. We'll see, though. I want to make sure it's public, though. If you do get it right, Stuart, good on you, brother. It still doesn't necessarily mean everything he says is correct. Please keep that in mind, guys. This is how they play the game against us. This is kind of why I want to see the date be something different. I don't even want this guy to have anything to hang his hat on, because I don't think there's enough yet. We'll see. Again. Zelensky makes another move, though, like I said, so we got to move on. Klitschko is advising citizens of Kyiv to leave the city. They literally don't have enough power to keep people warm. So Kyiv, the capital, this is essentially the capital's now telling people to leave the capital because they can't heat their homes during the cold winter. Russia's winning the war. White House is amplifying shocking claims of this super soldier that was apparently deployed in Maduro. We got a couple cool things on this. Here's the full account. I want to read it if you haven't seen it yet. It's kind of groovy. This account from a Venezuelan security guard loyal to Nicolas Maduro is absolutely chilling, and it explains a lot about the tone across Latin America suddenly changing. Security guard says, on the day of the operation, we didn't hear anything coming. We were on guard, but suddenly all our radar systems shut down without any explanation. The next thing we saw were drones, a lot of drones, flying over our position. We didn't know how to react. Interviewer, so what happened next? How was the main attack? The security guard. And those drones appeared. Some helicopters arrived, but there were very few. I think barely 8 helicopters. From those helicopters, soldiers came down, but a very small number, maybe 20 men. But those men were technologically very advanced. They didn't look like anything we've fought against before. Interviewer. And then what battle began? Security guard. Yes, but it was a massacre. We were hundreds, but we had no chance. They were shooting with such precision and speed, it seemed like each soldier was firing 300 rounds per minute. We couldn't do anything. Interviewer. Interviewer. And your own weapons, didn't they help? Security guard, no help at all, because it wasn't just the weapons. At one point, they launched something. I don't know how to describe it. It was like a very intense sound wave. Suddenly, I felt like my head was exploding from the inside. We all started bleeding from our noses. Some were vomiting blood. We fell to the ground, unable to move. Interviewer, and your comrades, did they manage to resist? Security guard, no, not at all. Those 20 men, without a single casualty, killed hundreds of us. We had no way to compete with their technology, with their weapons. I swear, I've never seen anything like it. We couldn't even stand up after that sonic weapon or whatever it was. Interviewer, so do you think the rest of the region should think twice before confronting the Americans? Security guard, without a doubt. I'm sending a warning to anyone who thinks that they can fight the United States. They have no idea what they're capable of. After what I saw, I never want to be on the other side of that again. They're not to be messed with. Interviewer, and now that Trump has said Mexico is on the list, do you think the situation will change in Latin America? Security guard, definitely. Everyone is already talking about this. No one wants to go through what we went through. Now everyone thinks twice. What happened here is going to change a lot of things, not just in Venezuela, but throughout the region. You see, this is one part of it. Now, this is what they're showing us, so the technology is significantly better than what we're going to see in this, but this gives you a great, if anybody's ever played any of the cool first-person shooter games that are out there right now, you'll realize there's a lot of training that is in these games, and I think a lot of the people that are abnormally good probably end up on radars, especially when they're younger. All said, here is this, what is it called, Eagle Eye? Is it something like that? Yeah, Eagle Eye. It's crazy. Check this out.
Bravo. Split. Alpha set. One Tango West container in the open. Bravo. Move out and engage.
So odds are they were using some form of that level of technology and what that's gotten down to and how micronized it's gotten or how enveloped they are within it. Super soldiers, maybe. I mean, that's typically in a lot of circles that I'm familiar with used kind of differently, but nonetheless. So Kane is saying we're gonna get overwhelming bipartisan support to stop any military action in Greenland. They are freaking out about Greenland. Greenland is freaking people out. It's hilarious. And the wrong people are freaking out. The right people are like, yeah, there's no issue here whatsoever at all. So, of course, we've got all sorts of politicians that are freaking out. This one happens to be a Democrat. This Senator Tim Kaine, Democrat, Virginia. Well, it's got Rand Paul, of course. He's against it. He's like, War Powers Resolution is not just about Venezuela. It's also about Greenland. So Rand Paul is doing everything in his power to demonstrate that he's deep state. And it's a shame because he used to come across so good, but he's not. Rand Paul's done. Rand Paul will be out of office. I don't think he's running in this 2-year cycle, but he will be out in the next presidential cycle, I think is where he's at possibly. I feel like he just won a little bit ago. So the idea of the United States being in Greenland is freaking out everybody. Europe is freaking out deep state because of their plans, because of what they were trying to do, because of strategically what they were trying to do. They were trying to give it to Russia and China. Why? Because they want us threatened. That's always been the plan. And we're messing with that plan to the utmost. So UK, Germany, and France are all trying to push plans to try to appease Greenland, try to maybe put troops there, try to get their presence known, if you will. And again, it's just more of this nonsense that's going on. All of a sudden now they're wanting to go out there. Now, Trump's kind of made fun of them. He's like, dude, their entire defense on Greenland is 2 dog sleds. That's it. These guys don't have crap. So now all of a sudden, what? England's going to get involved? Really? Europe? Or England, France, Germany? Now, this is interesting. Denmark is apparently occupying Greenland illegally, or at least they shouldn't be occupying Greenland. It is occupying Greenland in violation of UN rules. U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy, Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry, has said. On Sunday, Trump said the U.S. will acquire Greenland, an autonomous territory of Denmark, one way or another. He also argued that Copenhagen is unable to provide security for the world's largest island, quipping that it is only defended by 2 dog sleds. Later in the day, Landry took to X to note that the U.S. protected Greenland during World War II. U.S. military facilities were set up on the Arctic island in line with the deal between Washington and Copenhagen in April of 1941, a year after Denmark was overrun by Nazi Germany. History matters. The U.S. defended Greenland's sovereignty during World War II when Denmark couldn't, he wrote. After the conflict ended, Denmark reoccupied it, sidestepping and ignoring UN protocol. Landry, who was appointed presidential envoy for Greenland last month, has claimed this. The Danish ambassador to the U.S., Jesper Møller Sorensen, responded to the accusations shortly afterwards, insisting that Greenland has been a part of the Kingdom of Denmark for centuries, that has repeatedly been recognized by U.S. administrations in the UN and internationally. Quote, only the people of Greenland should decide their future. A vast majority of Greenlanders voted yes if its self-governing status inside the kingdom in 2008, he wrote. Yeah, we haven't offered him money yet. Copenhagen always stood shoulder to shoulder with Washington's Møller Sorensen said, noting that Denmark lost more soldiers per capita than any other NATO ally during the U.S.-led invasion of Afghanistan. A total of 43 Danish troops were killed. And so we'll see. We'll see what continues to happen. But yeah, obviously, we're going to do what we're going to do. Here's Trump kind of saying this is what's up. He's like, we are here to... We want to prevent China and Russia from having any influence.
Right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
Yeah, they're not like State Farm. They're definitely not like a good neighbor. Certainly don't want them there. That's not good. Now, my delicious friend Alice Tang is going to tell us how Mark Rutt, she changes his name midway through, by the way. I like her so much more because she makes mistakes, and I just think it makes her even more beautiful. That said, Mark Rutt, or Mark Rutte, as she will say later on. I've done this before. I've messed up people's names. I love it, and I think it's funny as hell. But she's talking about how NATO feels officially their response. And I think it's pretty funny because everyone else is freaking out and NATO's like, meh.
NATO Chief Mark Rutte says there's no consequence over President Trump's interest in Greenland. He says that NATO is also interested in protecting the Arctic from common adversaries.
Let me first of all stress that all allies agree on the importance of the Arctic and Arctic security, because we know that with sea lanes opening up, there is a risk that the Russians and the Chinese will be more active. And no, not at all. And I think we are really working in the right direction here.
Rutte added that he thinks President Trump is taking helpful steps for the alliance. The NATO chief says that without Trump, alliance members wouldn't have agreed to increase their defense spending. And similar to Rutte, Trump also pointed out that the threat posed by China and Russia. The president says the best solution would be to strike a deal with Denmark so the U.S. can protect Greenland.
Yeah, pretty sure I'd want to try the karaoke thing with her. I think that's the direction I would go. Not necessarily public karaoke, but just loosen her up, glass of wine maybe. So she called him Rutt correctly, then Root, then Rutte. I love this girl. She's awesome. Yeah, she's when you don't really know what the name is, you kind of don't want to stick to anything, right? You're like, one of them's probably right? So it's just it's a way to go. President Trump demands Congress pass mandatory nationwide voter ID. This, I don't think, since it's not budgetary, would require the 2/3 in Senate, which means we could do this with a majority. But, and here's the fun question, Why won't we probably do this through Congress? It might. I hope it happens. Let's get it to happen. But how many people in Congress are worried about an honest vote? How many people in Congress realize they'll never serve another day in office? Thomas Massey. Allergies or something. How many others? Susan Collins, Murkowski. There's a crap ton of them. Shit, Kentucky's going to have to replace almost everybody. I think they got that white-haired guy over there. It's pretty cool. And then I want to say Kennedy's there too, maybe. Is he? Where's his state? No, I don't think he's Kentucky, is he? I don't know. Whatever. That Kennedy guy's pretty cool. We got to keep him around just for his crazy shit he says, if not anything. But here's Trump talking about voter ID, and this is all we need to do. And he's right.
They're very corrupt people. It's a very corrupt state. I feel that I won Minnesota. I think I won it all 3 times. Nobody's won it since Richard Nixon won it many, many years ago. I won it all 3 times, in my opinion. And it's a corrupt state, a corrupt voting state. And the Republicans ought to get smart and demand on voter ID. They ought to demand maybe same-day voting and all of the other things that you have to have a safe election. But I won Minnesota 3 times, and I didn't get credit for it. I did so well in that state every time. The people were crying every time after. That's a crooked state. California is a crooked state. Many crooked states. We have a very, very dishonest voting system. The last time I won, 24, the one that just took place, I won because it was too big to rig. You couldn't rig it. It was too big. But I won the state of Minnesota. It's a corrupt voting system with an incompetent governor.
Yeah, we're very crooked too, by the way. We bend around Nevada. I don't know if you've looked at and then the coast is just kind of this weird, jaggedy, weird round. I mean, we're crooked in every way possible. Yeah, not even sort of a square state like Colorado and Utah and New Mexico. Very square. Not California. Nope, crooked as hell. Crooked as Helios. All right, we got you got the memo. I don't know. I'm assuming it's because stuff is finally pulled so horribly that these people are trying to get on the right side of it, or because they're planning on running. I think Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is definitely someone that would be a vice president possibility for the Democrats. Makes the most sense. She's extremely popular. People love her. She's young, yada, yada, yada. So maybe now she's starting to switch her antics a little bit because she realizes at some point it's going to matter. Whatever the case is, AOC is joining top Dems in abrupt pivot against anti-Semitism. They're actually calling it out. Hey, so marching into predominantly Jewish neighborhoods and leading with a chant saying we support Hamas is a disgusting and anti-Semitic thing to do. This is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez posting this. It's like, huh? I mean, yeah, she's right. Now all of a sudden they care about the Jewish community who's probably freaking out because they're like, Democrats don't give a shit about us. You guys side with Palestine. You side with Hamas. You side with, Hezbollah. And they say it all cool when they say it. Right? They got that Hakana. They got the Hakana going on in there. As Eddie Murphy would say, I don't want no Hakana on my bread. So yeah, we got a big problem going on, right? We got Democrats in the House Energy are now supporting nuclear power. This has typically been a Republican thing. Now all of a sudden Democrats are like, well, no, we need to get some power stations built. Nuclear, make it happen. Now, many are suggesting it's probably because Democrat-run states are dying. Power bills are just going through the roof, and there's really no one else to blame but their stupid renewable power that's not renewable and doesn't work. Unreliable. So they're the ones that are freaking out because now their energy prices are through the roof, and none of these people are going to ever get elected again because true elections are coming, and everybody hates the fact that everything's gotten way more expensive. And you can blame Trump for what you can blame Trump on, but when it comes to power, that's pretty much state-run, folks. So that ain't Trump's fault in any way, shape, or form. Most states do their own power deals. They're part of a network, a grid, and they got to follow rules, and there's 3 grids. We've talked about it before. Left, right, and in Texas. Left, right, and Texas. So yeah, nuclear. We'll see. I don't know. Nuclear's, it works. I'd like to see fusion come online, and I think that's what's coming. It's a way, way safer form of nuclear power, if you will, than fission, which is what a lot of them are right now. Fissions are scary because if they kind of run away, if for some reason something happens and there's nobody there to like shut the reactor down, like it literally could just start to smolder and burn and start to melt through the earth. And it's pretty crazy stuff. Pretty crazy stuff. Supposedly that one in Fukushima, it melted pretty deep. I don't know what they ended up, if they just encased it with stuff, which they might have just taken them years to pour enough concrete in there to, make it safe. Whatever. Donald Trump posted this. This is according to Michael F. Cannon. He's the director of healthcare policy at the Cato Institute. He said, quote, "Don't extend the Obamacare subsidies. Would be like making Obamacare permanent. You have to stop talking about it now. Tell Congress I want to make permanent those rules that I put into place in 2018, giving people access to Obamacare exempt planning, because then premiums will fall by 50% or more for most people. I want to go back to the 3-year window where you can get in there for Obamacare where you won't pay as much. Don't expand Obamacare. Congress must make Trump rules permanent." These were President Trump's 2018 short-term plan rule that President Obama terminated. All Congress has to do is say, look, the short-term plans can last up to 36 months. Your insurer can sell you a renewal guarantee so it can last even beyond that period, and you will get lower-priced insurance, better insurance, longer-term insurance, and it doesn't cost taxpayers a dime, or it won't be destabilized Obamacare. Much simpler than what President Trump advisors are selling him. Much better to assuage the fears of nervous Democrats, because we had these rules in place for 6 years, and Obamacare did not crater. Subsidies will not solve this problem. Government should be capping what it spends on healthcare at zero. Send them a check. No need for subsidies. Congress has to get out of the way of private insurance companies giving the money to the consumers to buy directly from the health insurance companies. Make them compete for it. And if they don't spend it the way that insurance companies want, then, or if it's not really worth it to get insurance because maybe you don't go to the hospital enough, and maybe you'll just use that account to pay for the 1 or 2 times you might go, or maybe your dental visits, like in my case. I go to the dentist 4 times a year. I like to try to keep my teeth healthy. That's important. This is, by the way, this is just a cool image someone posted. Patriot News, good job. It's how I found it anyways. I don't know where you got it, but it's cool. You get the points. But this is the picture that the media is using on the left. And by the way, this must have been from her wedding day or something, because she looks lovely. She truly, truly looks lovely. The picture on the right is how she actually looked today. Now she got part of her forehead missing, but she's in the back of her head's probably not happy. So she looks a little different than the picture, but this is how she looked the day before. And 2026, no hair, standing behind her lover, of course, I think her wife, actually. I believe they got actually married. And she had 3 kids, apparently, that she didn't care at all about, because both of these people were literally out causing trouble in the streets with the cops. I've outside of protesting and a lot of the crazy color revolution stuff that's going on, really have never really seen that job offered in my life. Makes sense now, sure, but... So what we're finding out a little bit, Renee Good, she belonged to Ice Watch Group. That trained activists to interfere with agents in blocking vehicles and stuff along those lines. And they considered each de-arrest is a shaking off, which is to say each one is a micro-intifada, which can spread and inspire others until we may finally shake off this noxious ruling order altogether. So yeah, she was part of some very anarchy-type stuff, right? San Antonio socialists build shrine to woman shot after charging ICE agents with her car. Literally, the Democrats, of course, always celebrating the criminals. Floyd was a criminal. He was a criminal that wouldn't do what he was supposed to do. They said stop. He didn't stop. It got into an aggravated situation. The dude had to put his knee on his back because he was so strung out on drugs. He died. Unfortunate. Not cool. Certainly wasn't a cop shooting. But yeah, this is typical response from the left. Now, just funny little statistics, because how statistics are. They're all sorts of fun that way. So this is just it's easier to read it from here, I think. This is welfare use rates in Minnesota by household with children. So any welfare at all. in these colors here. So native households with children is the first. Somali immigrant household with children is the second. Somali immigrant household with children greater than 10 years, meaning they've been here for 10 years. So any welfare, native households, typically about 30% of the population. Still pretty bad, by the way. Somali immigrant households with children, 89%. People that have been here 10 years, 86%. Pretty much no one gets off unless they die, maybe. I mean, I don't know why there's a 3% drop. I'm surprised. Cash, 6% of the population gets some form of cash. Somali, 23%, and 10-year, 21%. You see how it doesn't really delineate or go down much. Food stamps, normal people, about 10%. Somalis with children, 62%. 54% of people that have been here 10 years. Think about how old their kids are at that point. What about Medicaid? 28% of normal people are using Medicare. Or all people, I should say. Not normal. That's implying that the Somalis are abnormal. They're not abnormal. Oh, yes, they are. Way abnormal. 86% of them, their populations with children, use Medicaid. 83% after 10 years continue to use Medicaid. All overall populations, 28%. Their numbers are significantly higher than everybody else. DHS blasts anti-ICE protesters sharing the list of hotels allegedly hosting agents. Yeah, that is really effed up what they're doing. Some people have lost their jobs at the hotel. The thumbnail, as it implies, Hilton took away the whatever they're called, Hampton. They took away their sign. Literally, already showed up. This thing happened, what, 3, 4, 5 days ago? 6 days ago? I don't know. With less than a week? And they've already ripped the sign off. That was a literal picture of them doing it. Not good, right? So one of them actually put up some no trespassing and protection signs. So obviously cops are still staying here. But yeah, I would imagine, one, the police are just not happy about this. Poor guys, like they want a day off, they're off at night. They want to be able to go home, maybe have a drink, don't want to have to necessarily sleep with the pistol, but they are. They're sleeping with the pistol in case someone kicks in the door in the friggin' middle of the night. This is what these guys are living with. Seattle mayor's calling for people to sign up for the ICE mobilization alerts. Pretty sure that's illegal. Pretty sure it's illegal. To federally narc out feds when they're doing a federal thing, that's not legal. So, yeah, this mayor, Katie Wilson, she's, like a white mom Donnie, white female mom Donnie, I don't know. She's obviously communist too. 37 years old. It's incredible. It's just like these people. I'm the first 37-year-old to get elected. You weren't actually elected. Shut the hell up. I'm sure you didn't win that election. I don't think Seattle probably believes they're this crazy because of all this stuff, but whatever. This is, who are we making fun of here? This is the Seattle mayor. She's not going to investigate any immigrant daycare fraud. Wonder why.
I don't think it needs to be explained why it's problematic to have random people showing up to daycares. I think the fear in the Somali community is real. The fear in immigrant communities are real, so we're taking that very seriously.
Along those lines, have you asked anyone to follow up on the fraud claims, either to the Department of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs or SPD?
No.
So as far as you're concerned right now, there's no reason to suggest there's any sort of fraud?
This whole issue is not really about fraud, right? It's about dividing and conquering. It's about making an immigrant community a target, right? There's no reason to assume based on the identity of a daycare operator that their small business is doing anything wrong.
We're assuming because it's a daycare facility that there's fraud. I don't really care. I'm sure there's plenty of white people that are doing daycare fraud. I'm sure there's plenty of Somali, Mexican, up in the Seattle area. There's going to definitely be some Asians probably taking advantage of that. So I'm not just trying to besmirch the actual population of people. I'm actually going after the whole organization as a larger piece. Trying to make it real. Chicago PD Superintendent Larry Snelling, he's got some advice for people when it comes to dealing with, cops and shit when they're working.
Federal agents, ICE, HSI, are officers. They are agents of law enforcement. If you box them in with vehicles, it is reasonable for them to believe that they are being ambushed. and that this could end in a deadly situation. And it's reasonable for them to use force based on those conditions. Do not box in any law enforcement officer. You are breaking the law when you do that. And you are putting yourself in danger. Following law enforcement agents around. The question is why? What do you plan on doing? It's also reasonable for them to believe that you're eventually going to do harm to them. If you ram any vehicle, especially that one that contains law enforcement agents, and that's any law enforcement, local, state, federal, county, and you do this intentionally, this is considered deadly force. Deadly force is anything that can cause great bodily harm or death. When you plow into a vehicle that contains law enforcement agents, you're using deadly force.
That's like a strong place to just stop. That was perfectly edited. That's it. End of story. Fact of matter. All she wrote. That lady starts la 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 la. She starts warming up. Yeah, we got some people that don't realize what's coming. I want to play this. It's kind of long, but it's worth it, I think. I might cut it at the end when she asks him 2 stupid questions at the end about him taking bribes. So I think when I get to that point, I'm going to kill it. You guys might be like, Dan, that might have been good. Nah, trust me, it's stupid. He doesn't answer the questions, and it's very rude of her to keep pushing, and she did keep pushing. It's almost fun to watch him handle it, but he was not happy about that. Needless to say, most of this was pretty good, and they're talking about this is what's up, the death, the killing, because the left is going to try to push this as their reason for their revolution, when in reality, we're winning.
And joining me now is White House border czar Tom Homan, who was the acting ICE director in President Trump's first term. Mr. Homan, welcome to Meet the Press.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. So the world has now seen that video, the perspective from the officer. I wonder, Mr. Homan, what do you see in that video?
Look, it's tragic. And I've said from March, if the hateful rhetoric doesn't decline, there's going to be bloodshed. I've seen this movie before. And unfortunately, I was right. And there's been a lot of bloodshed. But look, you got to put yourself in the mind of the officer, right? You're in a city where there's protests, interference, impediment, like these 2 ladies were doing before this incident occurred. You're in a city where law enforcement response is sporadic at best. You got threats up over 1,300%. Actual assault on ICE officers. You got a woman behind the wheel of a 4,000-pound vehicle, revving her engine, going towards you. I truly believe this officer, in his mind, thought his life was in danger, which allows him to use lethal force. Now, I'll say this, let the investigation play out, right? There's a lot of video we probably haven't seen that the FBI has that we don't. Where's the forensics in the ballistics? That hasn't been unleashed. How about the officer's statements, his own statements? So we need to let this play out, but while we're doing that, we gotta stop the hateful rhetoric. Saying this officer's a murderer is dangerous. It's just ridiculous. It's just going to infuriate people more, which means there's going to be more incidents like this because the hateful rhetoric is not only continuing, now it's tripled down and doubled down.
Mr. Homan, let me ask you, because you have yet again here today said you want the investigation to play out. This is something you said in the immediate aftermath of this shooting. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem called this a, quote, act of domestic terrorism. President Trump said Renee Good, quote, violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer. How can the public trust the investigation when there has already been this judgment passed down by the president and some of his top officials?
Look, we've all seen the video. And again, no one knows what's in that officer's mind. You don't, I don't, no one does. But we're going to let the investigation play out. But bottom line is, why are we even there? Why are we in Minneapolis? Because it's a sanctuary city, a sanctuary state. Bill Maloogian from Fox News just put out a list of like 18 people, dangerous, worse than the worst that ICE is taking into custody. Many of them, child sodomy, child rape. ICE is out looking for dangerous people. It's not okay to impede and interfere with an officer. Would it be okay if a citizen impeded and interfered with a U.S. Marshal arresting a fugitive? No. Is it okay if they stood in before the FBI when they're going to arrest a terrorist? No. These are targeted enforcement operations. They're arresting bad people. And it's illegal. Let's remember, what she did was a crime. It's illegal to interfere and impede with ICE law enforcement officers. That's wwhy we're there.
And yet what Minneapolis officials are arguing is that the way that ICE officials are carrying out their duties may be adding to the tension. Secretary Noem labeled this an act of domestic terrorism. What's the evidence for that allegation, Mr. Harmon?
Bottom line is, again, why we're in Minneapolis. If they didn't have the sanctuary policies they had.
But do you have evidence that she's a domestic terrorist?
Let me finish this, because this is important. Less officers in the community if we were in the jail. Bottom line, we are forced into the community because the governor of that state and the mayor support sanctuary cities, where child rapists are released back in the community. They create a huge public safety threat. So if you want less officers in the street, then let us into jail.
And I'm going to talk to Mayor Fry about the sanctuary city policies there, but I want to stay on this question, which is about the way in which the woman who was shot and killed is being labeled as a domestic terrorist. Just to be clear, is anyone who protests ICE a domestic terrorist in the eyes of the administration?
I can't say that. It's a case-by-case basis. But, if you look up the definition of terrorism, is there violence? Is there threat of violence based on an ideology that wants to change the way the government does what we do? Look up the definition of terrorism.
But was Secretary Noem correct to label her a domestic terrorist, Mr. Homan?
Look, we don't know I don't know what Secretary Noem knows and what I know. I can tell you is what they did is illegal. And if you look up this definition of terrorism, it certainly could fall within that definition if you look at the definition of terrorism.
But you don't have evidence.
Pardon me?
You don't have evidence that she's a domestic terrorist.
I don't know what Secretary has that I don't. I'm not going to judge what the Secretary says, but if you look up the definition of terrorism, it certainly can fall within that. But I think we all got to agree there was no reason for this lady to do what she did. There's no reason to be there. If you want to protest, protest, but don't actively impede and interfere, and certainly don't drive a 4,000-pound vehicle toward an officer.
Let me ask you about the broader investigation, because that's part of what the investigation is trying to unpack. What exactly happened in the moments leading up to the incident and afterwards? State and local officials are currently being excluded from the federal investigation. The Hennepin County attorney said this on Friday. I want to get your reaction on the other side.
I cannot overstate the importance of a local investigation, or at least access to the federal investigation by the BCA. Without it, we will not have the ability to be transparent with our community about the results of the expectation, or, as I said, any decision that might come of the review.
Mr. Homan, I've been talking to law enforcement experts who say they have never heard of state and local officials being cut out of a federal investigation. How can the public trust the results of this investigation if it doesn't include state and local officials, the people who are there on the ground?
Well, first of all, this is a federal crime.
But it happened in Minneapolis.
It's a federal crime, and the jurisdiction clearly falls within the FBI. I've been doing this since 1984. When a federal officer is involved with the shooting, it's up to the investigation goes to the FBI. It's been that way forever. And where were all these people? It shocks me. They have these opinions now. When they stood aside and let child rapists be released from jail back in the community.
But it's one thing to have the FBI be...
They're complicit why we're in the position we are today. They're complicit from their silence of an open border for 4 years, where millions of people are released in this country, many of them public safety threats and national security threats. They were silent. They were silent when 500,000 children were trafficked in this country, and they lost track of 300,000 of them.
What you're describing, though, it's one thing for the FBI to take the lead in an investigation. Certainly, that is something that we are used to seeing. But for state and local officials to be cut out altogether, are you comfortable with that? Doesn't that undercut the transparency, the sense of faith in the investigation in the eyes of the public?
First of all, that's a question for the FBI. I've never worked for DOJ, but listen, I trust that the FBI would do a thorough investigation. They're professionals. So let them do the investigation. Let's see the investigation.
Should the autopsy be made public?
That's a question for the FBI, but I certainly will tell you that the FBI will be part of the investigation. Like I said earlier, look at the ballistics, look at the forensics. Okay. Where did that fatal shot come from? All that would be part of the investigation.
Okay, the vice president defended Officer Ross on Thursday. I want to play a little bit of what he said for you. Take a look at what he said.
What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile?
Do you think that experience from 6 months ago, which the vice president detailed, may have impacted Officer Ross's judgment?
It may have. I mean, he was under attack once with a vehicle, so certainly, and like I said earlier, totality of the circumstance, just to that prior incident, but the environment right now with the threats against ICE officers have been shot at. They've had Molotov cocktails thrown on them. They've been doxxed. They've been, again, assaults up over 1,300%. Threats alone up 8,000%. And you're in a situation with this lady where it's impeding and interfering already. He's in a dangerous situation. And again, I want people to understand this. Put yourself in his shoes. Put yourself in his shoes where he's in that environment. Assaults against ICE officers all-time high. You have a vehicle that is pointed toward him and accelerates toward him. He has a second to make that decision. And I truly believe, and again, this will come out in the investigation, that in his mind, he feared for his life and he took appropriate action. And that, and according to federal law, that's a legitimate response. And even according to Minnesota law, Minnesota state law even talks about a vehicle coming towards you and your right to defend yourself. This officer, I think in his mind, did the right thing to save his own life and life of others.
You are talking about the perspective of ICE officers. I want to zoom out a little bit and talk about the perspective of some of the people all across this country. There have been 9 ICE-involved shootings since September. By one count, ICE has detained 170 U.S. citizens. People across this country, as you have seen, Mr. Homan, are out protesting ICE's actions. How do you justify an enforcement strategy that is making so many people feel less safe?
Because of the false media reports, because members of Congress who want to compare ICE to terrorists.
No, but these are protesters saying this. But these are protesters saying this. I'm asking you to respond to the protesters who say they feel less safe, who say they're concerned for their neighbors.
Because they're looking at media reports and saying ICE are terrorists, they're racist, they're the Nazis. They're listening to people saying that, using the term disappearing people. ICE is doing the same thing they've done for 40 years. ICE is an enforcing law. If you don't like what ICE is doing, go protest Congress. ICE is enforcing laws enacted by Congress. For any member of Congress to say that ICE is a Nazi or a racist or secret police, really? Because they're enforcing laws you enacted. If they're a racist for enforcing law, what's that make you? You wrote the law. And let's remember the true data. The true data, 70%, approximately, it goes anywhere from 60 to 70, of people they're arresting are criminals. Bottom line. But some of the media says, no, that's not true, because they think DUI isn't a crime. DUI kills 13,000 people a year. I think it's a huge public safety issue. It's because of the rhetoric, the hateful rhetoric. So that small population out there that's already half nuts, they hear this rhetoric that ICE is racist and they're Nazis and they're disappearing people, that empowers them to do stupid things.
Let me ask you, because we're almost out of time, I do want to give you the opportunity to respond to some lingering questions about you. As you know, in an undercover operation in 2024, the FBI recorded you accepting a bag which was determined to contain $50,000 from agents.
Oh, yeah, this is where I was going to. Again, he doesn't answer. It's kind of douchey. All right, I'll play the one first answer.
Posing as business executives who said you indicated you could help win government contracts in the second Trump administration. I want to stress there was an investigation. It was closed last year. The Justice Department said it found, quote, no credible evidence of any criminal wrongdoing. I do want to give you an opportunity to respond, though, Mr. Homan. Where is that $50,000? Did you keep it or did you return it?
I didn't take $50,000 from anybody, and that's a question for the FBI. I'm not going to give the story anymore, Aaron. Bottom line, I did nothing illegal. I did nothing, and the FBI and DOJ reviewed this. No credible evidence I did anything, because I didn't do anything illegal.
But was there $50,000 in the bag, and did you return it?
I'm not giving the story anymore here. This is an attack on my integrity and my profession.
All right, you get the point. The biatch. The biatch. And I'm sorry, she is. Oh, look at that. Stopped it at 12:21. Good numbers. This dude's fighting. This is how they work. This is what they do. It's what a lot of people do. You imply your supposition. You imply your belief into the question. One of my favorites, and I'm not trying to get crazy right now, but it's a great example. Just an example. You just had another one right here. That's fantastic. Hang on. It's funny how the universe works. All right, I won't talk about that. Good Lord. That's worse than a producer. Like, I wish I had that inside here. And then we'd like, Dan, don't. Really? That's not how it works. Election wizard. President Trump stuns America by capping credit card interest rates at 10%. This is pretty cool. He's saying he's going to do it. I think he's actually doing it. So, yeah, as official, as of January 20th, credit cards capped at 10% again, plus APR. Keep that in mind. I'm assuming, but most likely. That's always how it is. So, plus APR. So it's going to be whatever that is, 7% APR. I don't even know what it is. We should probably look it up. We can do that, I guess. What is APR? What is APR right now? Let's see if it gives me a percentage. That would be the best. Yeah, let's do a search. All right, whatever. I don't know what the APR is right now. This is not making it easy, and it's not worth the time. But yeah, so keep that in mind. But still, it's way less, especially if you got like 30% interest rate or some crazy thing like that because you got crap credit. No one should lend you money at all, by the way. They shouldn't. Wave of costly copper thefts threaten public safety, experts are saying. Literally, people cut the wires, and then they burn off all the plastic, so they just throw it in a fire, and then they get all the copper and then sell it for copper because copper's so valuable. They're literally cutting wires out of places, cutting wires to buildings, This is happening in the poorer neighborhoods where crime is rampant. They're literally just destroying infrastructure. Now, I would bet the bluer the city, the bigger the problem. A lot of money being made on that. Federal Reserve, not that you should go do that. Hopefully you aren't. Pay attention is what my point is. If you see people doing weird shit, especially in the middle of the night, involving buildings and wires, it's always a worker van at night doing stuff. Call the cops on them. And do it quietly. Don't get involved. Don't be like, hey, what are you guys doing? Don't be any stupid. Call the cops. They're like, dude, I think these guys are stealing copper from this place. Dude, the cops will be out there in 4 seconds, trust me. Especially the state troops. State troopers will be out there in a sec. Dude, that's money. So yeah. Federal Reserve Chairman, he's facing criminal investigation. And it is, and it's worthy. And it's he's saying it's all political and all this bullshit. He's like, this is because I won't do the interest rates the way Trump wants. Okay, what it has to do with, I think, and what we're going to sell and what we're going to talk about, at least in my opinion, is how they were literally trying to add $2 billion renovation, and they had like a crazy nature area up top and the special elevator and all this crazy shit. Extras that didn't need to be there. Taxpayers paying it. It was extraordinarily expensive. Trump does real estate. He's like, this is insanity. Trump probably looked at the blueprints. He's like, what? He probably could see it right from the blueprints. Trump is so in that world. C3 posted this. He says, are you sitting down? There are 1.8 million NGO, non-government organizations, and nonprofits that handle $3.7 trillion in American taxpayer money every single year. I am wondering if they're including the IRS, I hope. They don't say. I hope, because that's an NGO, by the way. The IRS is not a federal agency. It's licensed out of Puerto Rico. It's a NGO. Just FYI. Silvers, my goodness. We'll see where it's finally at. Is it higher? It's even higher than I think it was earlier. What did I have? I snipped it at one point because it was pretty cool. It's really high. Yeah, it's even higher than it was. Nice. We had it. I had it right here. Right. I snipped it at 7.94. It's at 8.14%. Holy shizzle! In one day, guys. Now again, this is in response to what happens when they have to purchase silver to fill contracts. They're running out of silver, and the price is going to go through the roof. All these paper contracts are destroying themselves. I think they're trying to sell the papers to short, and they try to drive the price down with those shorts and make a little money to get it back, but they end up losing money because I think to get back to where they need it to go, they need silver's prices to go down, and it's not going to. It's going to keep going up. And the paper contracts are destroying the major banks. This is what's happening. Like it, don't like it. The giant mood swings on silver is an interesting thing. Gold as well. Gold's up a bunch today, by the way, $123. Sitting at 46. I love, again, this just dawned on me, guys. I mean, I was literally recording when I figured it out. But this Liberty coin, Liberty. It's not from them, but it's, $100 coin. It's $100. $100 is what it says on the back. Whoops, let's put it in. You can't probably see it. I don't know if there's a way to make it easier. You can zoom in on that maybe. It's freaking awesome as hell. $100. It's $100. That's treasury coin. That's a minted treasury coin. It's a $100 coin. 1 ounce of gold. That's worth 4,625 Federal Reserve notes. That's what that's worth. See, your stock is based off of Federal Reserve notes. Federal Reserve is inflating badly daily. Gold's showing you. When gold goes up 124, that means the Federal Reserve note just took a big old giant poop. Again. Get out of that system, guys. First off, DRSlikesgold.com. If you've got a 401k or an IRA, transfer, divest, move, whatever, buying power is what you're doing. It's buying power. It's what you can actually purchase with it. This 1 ounce of coin could buy the same thing 100 years ago as it can today. It can buy the same thing. It's valued the same way. You don't make money on this when times are good. When times suck, you make lots. Well, you protect your buying power. You'll be able to buy a house or something cool. This is a different story. Silver's got a multiplier baked in. How high it goes, it's a big giant question. We don't honestly know how much the paper contracts are really effing with this. It's significant. 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I've heard crazy ass numbers way higher than that. I don't know. If silver gets that expensive, it's going to be interesting, and maybe we start using gold. I mean, there's some that have said they'd come closer to parity, which I think is scary, meaning the same. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Move as much of that money as you can, tax-free, penalty-free, sideways, into physical metals, put into a trust, up to 10% free silver for you. Up to 10% free silver. Also, I believe you can sort of decide how much silver versus gold you have. Understand, though, I don't even know what it is exactly right now, but 1 ounce, 1 coin of these is worth like 11 coins of these, right? So you got to stack 11 coins for every one of these. This is a great storage. This is like I want to make some money. I want to make some buying power because silver's going to go up. DRSlikesgold.com plus up to 10% free silver. And on top of that, you're also going to get, if you can call in 20 minutes when you punch in the data points, when you punch in your 4 data points, right? Name, email, phone, send it, boom. And you're 20 minutes, if you can make a phone call, you're going to get the little Ronald Reagan coin. It's pretty cool. They're going to show you the picture. Again, a lot of people are big on doing this. This is, it's one of the smartest things anybody's done. The people that did it 2-3 years ago are so sitting pretty right now and are stoked. You'll be fine. You've still got time. I wouldn't wait, though. DRSlikesgold.com, DRSlikesgold.com. Get out of that nonsense, folks. It ain't worth it. And you're going to lose a lot of buying power hanging out there. Not going to be good for you. Donald Trump, truth this, and he's talking about tariffs. I don't know what's going to happen with tariffs. Because it seems Trump is very concerned about it, or at least very, very much wants to keep it on the front burner. I'll be honest, that scares me. And I don't know if it's just for the normies or what. I don't know. Or maybe it's just to bring it to everyone's attention, what he's accomplishing with them, so they'll understand when the Supreme Court sides with him. Again, this is the part of the movie where I can see it going a number of different ways. Right? And I can see timelines that go off based off of that. But I don't know which one we choose. We'll find out. The future's still not certain on this one, and maybe that's what's freaking Trump out too. I kind of get the same read from it. It's like, it's gonna, like 5-4 is what I see. Maybe it's the other way too, 4-5. We got a couple conservatives that can and will go the wrong way sometimes. Supreme Court could also, some of the stuff they're dealing with, some good moments in here. Got some stuff for the elections. I don't want to dig. I wanted to. There's actually some really good article in here. They've got, and it's The Hill. It surprised the hell out of me. We've got just a lot of stuff, campaign funding, elections, a couple ways in elections too. 2 different cases that deal with when it's okay to continue counting ballots or how long that process can even continue after Election Day, because people that have to pay for campaigns get stuck with that. There's also cases showing whether or not people are allowed to sue that were in the election, meaning like you were on the ballot. They're saying I should be able to have standing as a ballot member. And one of those guys, I believe, is also suing for the extra time, talking about how it costs extra money because you've got to keep staff around. You're now campaigning past the day of the election, which is weird. So it's an interesting direction, but there's a lot of overlap when it comes to election stuff. So the Supreme Court's got some big decisions to make. Hopefully we'll see that happen. Arizona does something kind of crazy. I don't think this is legal, but again, brought up Catholic, just a disclaimer. I believe Catholics are the only ones that do the confession thing, right? Maybe Episcopalians, but I think mostly Catholics. Arizona bill would force clergy to violate seal of confession. I find this interesting. So if someone confesses to a child rape or something of those offenses, then they should have to tell the police. This is just strictly trying to find a place where the public will accept breaking that boundary. Now, I don't think it's a good idea to tell your priest, no offense, what you've done wrong, because I think, in all honesty, back in the day, this is also how they got control of people. You just did it through the church. I mean, just, man, look at Travolta and Tom Cruise. Swear to God. It's insane. And that's not Catholic, obviously. They believe in some interesting story. That's all I can say. I mean, who am I? What do I know? It's pretty funny. It is so strange how the world works, guys, and how the way programming is. There's something for everybody, that's for sure. But anyway, this Arizona bill, they're talking about doing that. I don't know. Thought I would throw it out there, see how you guys feel about it. There is an FBI veteran that has been chosen to replace Dan Bongino. If you know who he is, it's fantastic. I don't know who he is. He's a former current head of the FBI's New York field office, Christopher Raya. He's being appointed as the agency's co-deputy director, taking over the position Bongino just opened up. So good on them. And hopefully Bongino's solid on it, and I'm curious to see how much this dude pops out into the forefront, like if there's any sort of weird competition between the two. I'm very curious how that kind of plays out, just personally. All of that said, hopefully Dan Bongino likes him. Got some bad judges out there. Here's 3 judges that dismantled a federal indictment. Literally, judicial overreach in the United States versus Comey. 3 different judges broke the cases in 3 different strong ways. I wish we had more time. I really do. Too much stuff. But yeah, Judge Michael S. Nachmanoff, he's biased, media reliance, and hostility towards the prosecution. Just the judge was kind of ridiculous. Reliance on newspaper articles. You can't do that. One-sided interruptions. He would only interrupt one side. Silencing the U.S. attorney and misstated the record. He prejudged prosecutorial independence. And we've got Judge Cameron McGowan Curie. This is the second one. Out-of-district intervention, media dependence, and personal attacks. Literally, this judge was like out of the area. They weren't even in the right jurisdiction, and somehow she ended up with the case. Very strange. But yeah, again, media dependent. She's looking at news stories as evidence of proof rather than the actual proof that's offered within the trial. which is insanity. Judge from another state overturned a Virginia indictment. It's very strange. Again, just so much weird stuff with these. She dismissed the indictment contrary to the precedent she cited. She broke her own precedent. This is all over Comey. Again, this is what the deep state's willing to do to stop us, to stop what's happening. And we say, and we mean, nothing can stop what's coming. This is just busting through all of them. It's like a flood. There's nothing they can do. The third magistrate judge, William G. Fitzpatrick, distortion, conjecture, false missing minutes, like he literally edited something in a weird way. All these missing minutes that weren't supposed to exist because the jury was deliberating. All sorts of crazy stuff with these guys. I don't want to get into any more of it, but it's insane, all of it. Again, the deep state's doing everything the deep state can to defend itself. They've got a number of judges bought and paid for. A number, not all. But it's odd. The ones that are good don't seem to get the cases, do they? Wonder why that is. They're random. No, they're not. We'll get control of these things. I think they're paying attention to it. I don't know how you bring attention to it publicly, or if you need to, or if they just fix it and then watch what happens. All these people start getting rooted into judges that'll actually throw the book at them. And they're like, wait, what happened? I was supposed to get Judge so. Yeah, sorry, he's sick. I don't know. Obama judge blocks probe into Dem New York Attorney General Letitia James. We got another federal judge. He's removed a senior federal prosecutor from overseeing this. I think we might have mentioned this specifically, but this is that John Sarcone guy. And he's one of those people that held past 120 days because they won't put them in because they're blue states, and so they get blue slips. DOJ is pushing back on protesters' request to rush a temporary block on DHS officers' actions in Minnesota after recent crowd incidents. This is kind of insane that, that like a federal judge might be able to actually stop Trump from being able to have federal agents in a state. This will be very interesting. Only certain states will actually subscribe to this, and then you've got to choose to move. This is one thing that people have talked about, but that would be an absolute fracture of the United States. I certainly hope that doesn't happen, but a lot of that's going to depend on us getting a fair vote. And I think if we can do that, I think we have a chance. And we can certainly make enough excitement, especially if we all can feel confident that our vote's going to actually finally matter for the first time ever in our lives. We had to overrush the system. That was what we've been doing. Now it's like legitimately your vote's going to matter. It's going to be incredible. Jack Smith, so many weird things are coming out about him. So he approved a $20,000 payment to an informant to snitch on Trump. So, this guy was paid to indulge or embezzle and emblazon and what's the, when you make it bigger. But yeah, like tell a story, right? And they get don't leave any details out. Did he pee on the bed? Like that kind of stupid stuff. So yeah, Jack Smith paid $20,000 to one person. We also know that there was an anti-Trump FBI agent that kind of got involved with this, some supervisor guy, and he got into social media and started kind of affecting the direction the story was moving. I don't know, whatever. Special Agent Timothy Thibault, you guys have heard of him, right? He left his role as assistant agent in charge of Washington Field Office in August 2022, and he organized this big kind of crazy social media presence. Probably where fighting off our good friend Dan, right? Dan Scavino? Scavino, yeah. Former Special Jack Smith also utter contempt for the First Amendment. He didn't think Trump was using his First Amendment right. He actually felt that and they asked him, if you thought this was a First Amendment thing. He says, absolutely not. If they are made to target a lawful government function and they are made with knowing falsity, no, they are not. That was my point about fraud not being protected by the First Amendment. Now, he meant that, of course, about Trump. But think about it towards like people that are pissed off about ICE agents. So let's assume this is said by somebody on our side of the fence about ICE, about the people protesting against ICE agents. Do they have free speech right to protest the ICE agents? Absolutely not. If they are made to target a lawful government function and they are made with knowing falsity, no, they are not. That was my point about fraud not being protected by the First Amendment. Huh, strange. Kind of sounds the same, doesn't it? That's weird. That is beyond strange. All right, states blues. DOT stripped California $160 million over the commercial driver's license fiasco going on there. $160 million. I'm sure a federal judge is going to try to do something, but that ball is rolling now. Majority of North Carolina trucking licenses have been issued to foreigners are illegal, Duffy has said. Found 54% of all commercial driver's licenses issued by North Carolina, 54% issued illegally. North Carolina, you guys pretend to be something you're not. Got to get you back as well. New York City nurses begin largest strike in history. I'm not happy about this. We're going to play this article, even though, it's a man.
New York City's history begins today after talks collapsed. Union officials say nearly 16,000 nurses are walking off the job. The strike will affect some of the city's largest privately run hospitals, including Mount Sinai, Montefiore, Einstein, and New York Presbyterian. The New York State Nursing Association said yesterday contract talks with those hospital systems have stalled. The union is demanding an increase in wages, increased staffing, full health care coverage, workplace protections against violence, and safeguards on the use of AI in health care. Governor Kathy Hochul has declared a state of emergency, warning a strike could threaten patient safety. The union says it will hold a press conference at New York Presbyterian at 10 a.m.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I don't know. I hate unions. I'll say that. I dislike unions. Sorry, I dislike unions. A lot. Very strongly. Loathe, maybe even. Again, I've talked about it before in the past. You guys can just get mad. I actually looked at the comments the other day and said, my God, I was surprised how many people are pissed off at me. It's fantastic. I'm doing something right. Overhauling air traffic control involves 5,000 locations and 600 radar systems. So it's a big ordeal. They're literally going from copper to fiber. I mean, they're doing all sorts of crazy stuff. There's also a lot of layers of technology that have happened prior to when the FAA really put their systems in place and where they're at right now, and they just never changed. It's just too expensive. So they're actually going to spend the money. $32 billion, a lot of money, but I get it. At least I have more faith that Trump is going to manage the people. I don't think he's into waste, fraud, and abuse at all. We've seen that. So likely this money will be well spent, I pray, and won't be like, I don't know, a good example, the high-speed rail here in California with zero track laid. You can't go anywhere on track. You can't even put one of them little push cart things that they had there in that movie, Blazing Saddles. You guys remember that? Anyways, yes, so there you go. Oh, health. Yeah, we got some health stuff. This is weird. Study linking mRNA injections and cancer. They were censored by a cyber attack. Go figure. Literally. mRNA injections. It was showing that there was this weird cancerous thing that was happening, linking, mRNAs to cancers right by the injection site. And they got hacked. And somehow that article got taken down. I mean, that doesn't look obvious at all, right? Literally. When the hell does someone hack and then take down an article? And shucks, I wonder who would be willing to do that. Maha scored another win against the pesticide manufacturers early in the week with the removal of Sections 453 from the House Appropriations Bill. This would shield the pesticide companies from liability over their cancer-causing products. So they, at least removed that. That would legally give them protection. Most of Congress, guys, is crap. We get a real election. We have a chance to replace, half, all of Congress, all of the House anyways. Everybody's up for grabs. So we could change a lot of stuff quickly. So hang tight. Be strong. Keep moving forward. Cancer drugs drive nearly 1/5 of pharma sales. You guys realize that? That's like some craziness. Oncology drugs, about 18% of all drugs. By the way, anti-diabetes drugs, 7%. That is insanity. And then immunosuppressants, probably, I don't know, is that because just, when else do you get those when you got, like, I know when you get like another organ and stuff, but there can't be that many people getting organs, can there? 5%? That's 5 shit. Or maybe it's by dollars. Yeah, sales. Okay, yeah, if you got a pig heart or some shit, you're probably paying a crap ton of money to keep yourself alive, right? Because that kind of stuff, you're like, I have to. I'll die if I don't take the pill. And you probably would, too. Yeah, so antiviral drugs. Wow. Anti-rheumatic drug. Which, by the way, that one guy that said he had rheumatoid arthritis, he was taking the ivermectin, the parasite cleanse, this thing, from the wellness company, twc.health/OTF. twc.health/OTF. It is, rheumatoid. You'd be amazed. He's still free of it. He does. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm still, like I said, I'm tripping on the cold sore thing. I haven't gotten a cold sore ever again since. I was just like, that's so weird. Like, sometimes things just stop and you're like healed of it. Something that you've never been healed of. Got it when I was like 12. I'd never even kissed a girl. It's unfortunate. Life sucks. How it happens. This is a lot of people taking the drugs for diabetes. One of the problems we have is, as a society, 94% of us, in fact, insulin resistant. This is one of the biggest problems that we have. So again, let's talk about the fact that we're generally overweight. We're insulin resistant. So we got snacking, craving problems, weight control problems. We're having issues with our metabolism. We're having problems all over the place. And we can't really find a solution. In a lot of cases, it is because some of the crap we're eating. But one of the things that this product, OTFspecial.com, OTFspecial.com, the Unicity, I love this stuff. I love it. I mean, I literally enjoy it. Like, I want to do it in the morning. A lot of times, like, I need to, I got to take my pills, or I got to do my thing, or whatever, right? Like, but this is like, ooh. Like, yeah. It gives me energy. It totally prolongs my fasting. Keeps you in that ketosis a little bit longer, which for me, I like. And I got some habits that help, help me being able to do that. They've got a balance that you can take that actually will fill up your stomach. So that's like right with dinner. You put that packet in the water and drink it, and it kind of fills you up, and it helps you process carbohydrates differently. So you actually are processing and even kind of putting aside some of those carbs that would normally end up in your blood system. So a lot of you guys that are A1C numbers are high, a lot of you guys that are diabetic, pre-diabetic, you're going to keep taking your stuff the way you have been. But you're actually going to notice your blood sugar levels are actually staying in the ranges they're supposed to. You're going to notice your A1C numbers are dropping. Doctors are going to trip on it. You'll be surprised. You'll be amazed. They've got a lot of really, really cool products on top of these, but you want to start with the best, and they've got that. Now, we got a new video. I haven't watched this one yet, but we got a new video. This is Claudia. She's feeling great.
When I was age 50, I woke up one morning and I literally fell when I tried to stand up. And it was myasthenia gravis. They had to put me on heavy doses of steroids, and they almost killed me. And that made me diabetic. So for 23 years, I was type 2. During that first couple of years, it was really rough because I did have to have oxygen a number of times. I couldn't move. All I wanted to do was sleep. And I think that was a lot of depression too, just wanting to escape. And so I decided to try Unicity. I started on it in October of 22. By April, my A1C had gone to 5.1 and I had lost 48 pounds. It did give me a new lease on life. I have more energy, I feel better about myself. Now, I get up and I move. I go out and visit friends. I'm off all my medicine now. So I really don't know where I would be today without Unicity. It changed my life.
I like how we all pronounce stuff differently. Unicity. I like that too. That's better pronunciation than mine. Unicity, not so cool. Unicity, much better sounding. Yeah, I like that. Either way. This stuff is changing people's lives. It's a powerful product, and I love it. I love what it does for me. I'm hearing all sorts of people. I'm getting, they're sending me actual feedback already. And we've only been in the product like, I don't know, a month and a half or so now. It's incredible. OTFspecial.com, OTFspecial.com. You're going to love it. You're going to love how you feel. That's the best part. You literally just put it in water, drink it. That mix it up real good, but you drink it. That's it. And you don't do anything different. You're going to literally feel better. You're going to be able to go a little longer without eating. And when you do eat, you're going to eat a teeny bit less, and you're also going to process better. And all your numbers and your figures that you're using to assess how well you're doing are going to improve. You're going to love it. OTFspecial.com. Stuff's awesome. I love it. Literally. It's just, and you just get these boxes. It's not even ridiculous in price. It's worth the fun. It's worth the fun for sure. Yes, I say. Okay, where are we at? There we are. Finished health. Now we're finishing off, guys. We're in the final stretch. Holy crap. Musk says X's new algorithm is going to be open source in about the end of this week. Sounds like Friday. It's kind of what they're shooting for. This came out like, I don't know, the 10th. So 7 days from then, he said, which, basically puts us at Friday, I think. We'll find out. Open source. Yay. Because this is about Germany and all these people douching on us and trying to, you can't have free speech, So they're going to be like, all right, well, it's open source now. Here's the algorithm. You can analyze it and shove it up your butt. Germany's intelligence service is set to expand their surveillance on people and outside of that probably. It's getting worse. Mercedes, they relocate their production to Hungary. Good for Hungary, by the way. But bad for you, Germany. Europe is going to go through a rough patch. Trump took charge of our ship. We're going to fare well. And will probably help some nations. Some that have been absolute total dickheads to us. They'll probably have to dance a little. I mean, if someone's been a dick, even if you're wealthy, you're like, oh, nah, you've been a dick. I don't want to give you anything. Fuck you. Come on, man. Yeah. Oh, Venezuela. So, couple things. One, U.S., anybody that's stupid enough to be in Venezuela right now, if you're in the U.S., if you know anyone in Venezuela right now that's of the U.S., they hopefully know this better than us, but they're being told to be very careful. Be cautious. There's literally road stops, blockades being created by the cartels and trying to find any Americans they can, most notably probably to get money. Hold them as ransom, most likely. And this is probably what's happening. They're not really making that public, which would make sense to me. But that would be my guess, is there's been some ransomware type stuff done. It's common. And these guys are broke. They don't know what else they're going to do. So, be careful. If you're stupid enough to put yourself in a situation where you're going to be compromised, then, Darwin is what that is at that point. So be careful, guys. Be careful. Donald Trump said this. Cuba lived for many years on large amounts of oil and money from Venezuela. In return, Cuba provided security services for the last two Venezuelan dictators, but not anymore. Most of those Cubans are dead from last week's USA attack, and Venezuela doesn't need protection anymore from the thugs and extortionists who held them hostage for so many years. Venezuela now has the United States of America, the most powerful military in the world by far, to protect them, and protect them we will. There will be no more oil or money going to Cuba, zero. I strongly suggest they make a deal before it is too late. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT, which I assume is, again, more of the camel case kind of concept. Not the corporation, but I see a lot more of that stuff is going on right now these days. I think that's significant. Iran, craziness is going on. Funny post that Trump shared from Rookie Umpire. It would be, it would an amazing string of victories if it happens. 2 decades of Venezuelan communism, 5 decades of Iranian mullahs, almost 7 decades of Castro's Cuba. All of this could be reversed in 2026. That's totally true. Death toll in clampdown on Iranian president reaches hundreds. Right group says so. The number of deaths is getting crazy. There is word that Trump is in communications with them. I think we've got that coming up here in a second, but it's getting bad there. Chaos is erupting in LA. A U-Haul drives in with a bunch of crazy stuff on the side of it. The driver was removed from the vehicle, beaten pretty severely. Cops got involved. As the cops were protecting this guy, even though they were arresting him, which, was fine, they were still beating him. Someone kicked him in the head on the egress. It says, no Shah, no regime, USA, don't repeat 1953, no mullah. So they're like trying to, tell us what we should and shouldn't do. This guy was at an I think he was at a pro-Hamas rally or some crazy, it was not a wise idea to show up here. This dude was on the other side of the fence. Took a U-Haul. They busted up the U-Haul even, so he's not going to get his money back. You know that, right? It's unfortunate. The Iranian anti-regime protesters have practically taken over Iran's second largest city of Mashhad, so something's happening there. I think what we've done is made it difficult for the Iranian to stop this or put this down. They've used a lot of times the Republican Guard, and frequently too they've also used the policing and a lot of different stuff like that. There is definitely some places where that's still happening, but they are losing the big picture. They are losing control. We're likely playing some sort of role in that. I'm sure there's some Starlink that's still happening, even though they shut the internet down. And I'm sure some people in Iran have Starlink. Trump says Iranian leader called him yesterday. They want to make a deal. Let's hear what he has to say.
Something really nice from Iran to engage diplomatically with you, or perhaps negotiate on nuclear program.
With Iran?
Yeah, do you think they want to engage diplomatically with you?
They do. They called
you?
yesterday.
Is it still an option?
Iran called to negotiate. Yesterday. The leaders of Iran called. They want to negotiate. I think they're tired of being beat up by the United States.
Are you sure you on that call?
Iran wants to negotiate, yes.
Negotiate what?
We may meet with them. I mean, a meeting is being set up. But we may have to act because of what's happening before the meeting. Right. But a meeting is being set up. Iran called. They want to negotiate. Thank you very much.
It's very common, right, for Iran to try to set something up right when they know they're running out of time. And Trump's like, yeah, I'm not going to play that game. We're not going to let you delay this. We'll probably get involved. So he's warning us already. Things are getting interesting, to say the least. Donald Trump, treat this. Congratulations to Dina Powell McCormick, who has just been named the new president of Meta. A great choice by Mark Z. She is fantastic, a very talented person who served the Trump administration with strength and distinction. President Donald J. Trump, in a camel case again. This might be an interesting transition. There's been some stuff that would imply that Zuck has been on board, maybe because he has to. We also understand that Zuck didn't create Facebook. That's a big giant lie. It was made by DARPA, and he got to inherit it and enjoy the riches of it. He has been one of the families. He's so friggin' ridiculously wealthy. So he's going along with this, I hope. And maybe this is part of the eventual taking these companies away from these types of people, right? All of the billions of dollars that Zuck kind of gets really probably shouldn't be fully just into one person's hands, right? Like that profit sharing, or maybe we're just getting charged way the hell too much, or that money should be given out to creators or whatever. There's a lot of money that goes to him that could be divvied up nicely. Things to keep in mind. NASA's got a new telescope to probe suns of other worlds, but I keep wondering. I'm one of the people that's like still listening for the whispers of the 12th Planet group, right? The Zacharias Sitchin and some of those types. But again, that concept, the cyclical concept, there's been a lot of talk of that kind of stuff. And I don't mean of late per se, but always been murmurs. It's one of the things I wonder about. I don't know if it's true or not. It's one of the things I'm open to, though. It would explain a lot of things. Every so many thousand years, we have a problem on this planet. It's very interesting. NASA's new telescope is going to be probing for suns on other worlds. Supposedly the thing is a giant red dwarf that's kind of cold, and it's got some planets spinning around it. And, man, I don't know. That might be where the possibly the Elohim are even maybe from. And maybe the, what's the Giants? What were they called? Maybe those guys too. I don't know. I'm just, crazy stuff. Like I said, we all entertain the nonsense. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, they used Tiffany for this one. Wow. Hello, Tiffany. Nice to see you again.
Welcome back. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Before you can find signs of life on other planets, you have to find the planets that could support life. That task is one of the goals behind NASA's newest small space telescope. And it's headed to the stars after blasting off this morning aboard a SpaceX rocket. Here's more.
NASA's latest eye in space is called the Star Planet Activity Research CubeSat, or SPARCS. It's a small space telescope that will monitor the flares and sunspot activity of low-mass stars.
It is 30 centimeters by 20 centimeters by 10 centimeters, very close to a family-sized Cheerios box in your kitchen that you might have. And so really it's very small, compact, and easy to launch.
Astrophysicist Evgenia Shkolnik is leading the mission. She is a professor in the School of Earth and Space Exploration at Arizona State University.
We know that these stars flare like crazy, much more actively, much more energetically, much more frequently than our own sun. And so the planets that orbit these smaller, low-mass stars are impacted much more intensely than we are here on Earth.
The telescope will look at wavelengths of ultraviolet light that our eyes can't see. Stars send out this kind of light into space and towards the exoplanets that orbit them. The data should give answers to important space science questions and possibly clues about whether any of these exoplanets might have the right conditions to support life.
Do you think they had to do anything different for COVID? These guys? They're like, you know what? We need face coverings. I don't know. I wonder. I don't know. I have issues. Fun little thing here. West Wing star Timothy Busfield, you might know him, facing child sex abuse charges. Warrant is out for his arrest. I don't know if they got him yet or not. But Timothy Busfield, he's known for the West Wing and 30-something. He had an arrest warrant issued in New Mexico for child abuse and 2 counts of criminal sexual conduct with a minor under 13. Now, we don't know if this is true, okay? Just be fair. He'll have his day in court. It's interesting, though, there's a warrant for his arrest. Whatever the case is, someone maybe felt the accusation was strong enough to put out a bolo. Be on the lookout, as I try to sound like I know what I'm talking about. Guys, we have a lot going on. Craziness is happening in the world. That's what I do know. I do understand the general movement that we're going. And I don't know. You don't have to be total genius to see what's happening in the movie. A lot of people, I think, want to know what's going to be the next scene, what's going to happen next. I would say be prepared, and future has not been decided yet, guys. That's a thing that we all need to realize. We play a large role in. Is what does happen next is up to us. Make sure we make those right choices when the time is right, and we'll get where we need to go. I love you guys. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.